We're going to move on to the goalkeeping coach then. I'll stick with you, Dan, on this one. We got to see some incredible footage, actually, of Fabian Otte making the keepers train with the noise-cancelling headphones and stuff on. I wonder if I can just play this now, actually, Aaron, if that's okay. So he's got glasses that impair your vision and noise-cancelling headphones on at the moment. So the keepers are all doing this type of stuff. It's fascinating. Those whatever they are, blow up things. There's to simulate defenders, I believe. And this is all about,
Harry
keeping
Maguire,
calm and that's actually Harry Maguire, that one.
They move as much as he does, don't they?
It's just his forehead. I tell you who needed a little bit of that training.
Go on.
Jordan Pickford.
Yeah.
Jordan Pickford needed a little bit of that training. What do you make of that? Like, other than the sunglasses clearly look cool as fuck.
Yeah, other than that was my first lead-off point, really. I'll be honest, not hugely surprised whatsoever. Because, how to say it? I spoke to Lucas Jensen, who worked under Fabian Otte during his time at Burnley together. They had like 2 seasons together. Spoke so highly of him. But sort of the key takeaway message from the whole conversation, just signed for Millwall, by the way, so congratulations to you, Lucas. The key message from it was, he is not just a goalkeeping coach. He's not a normal fella. Like, he's got all the goalkeeping coach stuff down to an absolute T. He'll do all your basics, your kicking, you'll volley balls at you from 15 yards away. He'll make you make saves, all the John Achterberg stuff. And no disrespect to John, top fella, brilliant coach. But Fabian Otte will do mad shit. Like, that's the tip of the iceberg, by all accounts, of what he's willing to try. And he said, oftentimes in training, this was during his Burnley days, he'd come in and he'd just say, let's sit there and say, I've got an idea, let's try this idea. And sometimes it might not work. It might turn out to be absolute crap. And after 15 minutes, he'd just jib it off and they move on and do the next thing. So not a shock whatsoever. I quite like it. It's all about marginal gains. We know Arne Slot's got a track record of being into that sort of stuff. He sent one of his players, I think it was Pedersen, when he was at Feyenoord, off for kickboxing lessons because he wasn't aggressive enough. Like, if he can see a way of getting just the extra 1-2% out of a player or a group of players or whatever it is, he'll go and use it. And that's why I think we've appointed this fella, because he's not afraid to try things that might just set you apart from what everybody else is doing.
What do you reckon is the weirdest thing that Fabian Otte does in life?
In life? Oh, that's a great question. I reckon something to do with like his biscuits, like his biscuits or something before bed.
I reckon he's definitely having VR wanks.
Wow, that is more extreme than what I said.
That can't be topped either.
I think VR will be involved in the goalkeeper training, not in that capacity though.
You might do it with noise cancelling headphones on and peripheral glasses and stuff.
Like ASMR.
Yeah.
We lasted 20 minutes before something like this happened on this podcast today.
Sorry, everybody. It's my bad. Okay, well, we'll move on then. The marginal gain stuff's really interesting, though, Steve, isn't it? Because we obviously had a brilliant goalkeeping coach who's done absolutely incredible. But, where are we going? How do you get better? How do you improve from that? It's not about getting a goalkeeper coach that's as good as or is nearly as good as John Achterberg. It's about getting a goalkeeping coach who's better. You're always striving for improvement, aren't you?
And different. Because it's kind of same thing, isn't it? It's same Groundhog Day type of scenario. And if there's one thing you can give Allison, it might be a little bit of physicality training, because he's not great under physical pressure at corners and things. Remember the goal against West Ham? Burnley, they put pressure on him physically. So maybe they send him off for kickboxing lessons because he's not aggressive enough. But how do you almost improve on the best goalkeeper in the world? But that's just why you bring people in like this. You've got a slightly different flavour on it, a slightly different take on what you do. And we spoke before we came on air that under pressure, that drill you just saw there is clearly when you put goalkeepers under pressure so they can focus on the job in hand, which is the ball. We've seen Allison put himself under huge pressure when closed down by centre forwards, and once or twice he's come a cropper. So hopefully that little things like that add a little bit to his game. It freshens it up, makes it exciting again, because all his mates left and he's looking at Liverpool. Allison, he's looking at the club thinking, this doesn't feel great. And now is this type of guy in there. There's a little bit of something different to look forward to every day. And keeping Taffer, I was really interested as well. I think that was really important for Allison. It'd be good to see. I hadn't seen too much of that video, but it's really good when people do things in slightly off key to get different results, and it makes life interesting, doesn't it?
Just on the Allison stuff in particular, I mean, he's probably kicked and caught a million balls in training down the years. Like, what else was Fabian Otte going to do that he hadn't seen before, really? So I think it was absolutely imperative that he came in and tried something different, something a bit outside the box, like I say, a bit innovative. And hopefully, if you can get Allison Becker to be a better goalkeeper, then I'm down for that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different things. Obviously, they work on reactions so often, don't they, Chloe? They work on, jumping down and getting back up as fast as you possibly can. But it's not just the goalkeeping side of things. This is the type of stuff that's going to be introduced, you'd imagine, across the whole coaching staff. They're going to make it different. They're going to make it enjoyable for players. And, hopefully by making it different, it does make it enjoyable. But the likes of Salah, how do you get him brought in, and Van Dijk and all these experienced pros who've won everything with us? It's important that you get them on side early doors, and this type of stuff is probably the way to do it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it combines the elements of being fun and being a little bit strange and mad, whilst also, finding those, minimal gains, and that is so important in the Premier League, because everyone's after it. Look at Arsenal with their throwing coach that elevated them on such a level last season, and this is important, specifically that goalkeeping coach part, because you're surveying like the entire pitch. Your thoughts are constantly on what's around me, how much pressure am I under, where's the players that I've got to pass to. And being a goalkeeper, you can lose focus. We've seen it. Someone down the road constantly does that. Aaron Ramsdale has spoken about how he looks at flying birds off the game and just completely forgets where he is for some reason. You can't be that as a goalkeeping coach, because if someone loses the ball in a dangerous position, you have to react, you have to be ready. So all of this is just trying to improve those players, just that extra couple of percent, to see if we can get better. And these new fresh ideas, hopefully it re-energises the team. It gives them something else to focus on. It demands more of themselves. It's not the same. You can get bored, and when you get bored of the same old drillers, you can end up being complacent. And a lot of that probably doesn't happen at Liverpool, because we've got elite mentality with the players that we have. But just something new, something that demands more of you, demands something different from you. You can use it as competition as well. And I bet you the likes of Mo Salah will be loving that.
I think the other thing for me is, Dan, look, you're going up against one of the world's best managers in Pep Guardiola. I think if you were to quiz all four of us now, we'd say Pep Guardiola's a better manager than Arne Slot. Most teams train in a very similar fashion. Are you ever going to beat Pep Guardiola by doing things the same as him? That's kind of it, isn't it, for me? Like, you've got to do things that are different, otherwise you'll just be a worse version of them, I suppose.
Yeah, you have to find a way, don't you? And Mikel Arteta is falling foul of that at the moment, isn't he? Because he is essentially, following in the footsteps and following the mould of Pep Guardiola, whether for better or for worse, and he's coming up short in trying to do so, because ultimately you will only ever be following in that mould. And it turns out that Pep may be 1 or 2 steps ahead of Mikel Arteta all the time at the moment and can't quite find a way. So I like Arne Slot coming in with these fresh ideas and these fresh ways of getting the best out of some top players, because again, so many of these footballers that we own right now have reached the absolute pinnacle of world football. Where do you go from there? And just having these people coming in, I've seen Ruben Peters, the lead performance fitness coach, doing like Gaelic footy training with them and stuff like that. And at first, a few of them might be like, what's this? But then the minute they're into it and they're enjoying it, it just opens up a whole new world of opportunities. And I'm all for it. I think Liverpool will still advertise, and I think I'm right in saying, for a new set piece coach. And that's one thing Liverpool can definitely improve on moving forward. That's where you do need to sort of keep up with the Joneses, really, when it comes to Man City and Arsenal. You can't find a different way of beating that around that bush, because Liverpool weren't great, neither attacking nor defending set pieces last season, so I'm glad to see we're addressing that. But I think you're absolutely spot on. I think when it comes to, for me, nothing's off the table, and I think Arne Slot's got a very similar sort of mindset. If someone comes to him with an idea, whether it's one of his staff, one of the players, about something that they believe might help them, I think he'll consider it, possibly implement it, and then potentially move on from it as well. That's how he seems. Brilliant football man, absolutely obsessed with football as well, by all accounts. The head coach stuff I love, the hands-on stuff in training I absolutely love, but I just got this hunch and this feeling that we're going to see loads more of this sort of stuff. I know for a fact he had a sports psychologist appointed at Feyenoord for 2 years. That wouldn't shock me if that's coming down the line either. So I think we need to sort of prepare.
Jürgen did stuff with the surfer and all that.
Absolutely, yeah. And they had neuroscientists when it comes to penalty shootouts, all that sort of stuff. You mentioned throwing coach, obviously Thomas Granemark, we know all about that. So it's not completely alien to Liverpool, but I think we'll see even more of it and different versions of it as well under Slot.